Well, hello, my name is Paul Dekar, and I'm speaking to you from the Greater Toronto Area in Canada. My family roots are from Russia. My father was born in Chita, Siberia, and his father, who he witnessed executed in the Russian Revolution, was a construction worker on the Trans-Siberian Railroad. My mother, by contrast, came from the Ukraine, was born in Kiev, and her family roots were Jewish. However, when she married out of Judaism because we had lost family. She had lost family in the Holocaust. And my father was Russian Orthodox, which is the tradition in which I was raised. I'm delighted to be with you, although I wish it were in person, and to have an opportunity to share some of the insights that I have developed from reading Thomas Merton, and especially his writing on Gandhi, two of the principal shapers of my journey. What, you might ask? Another talk on Merton, another talk on Gandhi. Why? Why, in terms of Merton, no other writer writing in North America between 1948 and 1968 was more prolific and prescient of our modern condition, of our current condition. Merton called people, in words of Hebrew prophet Micah, to act justly, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with the Holy One. By his critique of technology, by his writing on prayer and contemplation, by his witness against racism and war and our assault on the environment, and pertinent to today's conversation, by his interfaith outreach. Merton matters. I began reading Thomas Merton in the early 1960s as a University of California at Berkeley student. I frequented City Lights, a San Francisco bookstore where I purchased two Merton titles that shaped my intellectual and social engagement: Gandhi on Nonviolence and Faith and Violence. My interfaith journey began during what Merton might have called the hot summer of 1965. I joined a Crossroads Africa delegation that journeyed through Nigeria to Fort Lamy, now in N'Djamena in Chad. With local college and high school counterparts, we built a schoolhouse, which has since been destroyed amidst the Civil War. At noon, we often paused to let our Muslim colleagues and co-workers pray. It was around then that I first read two Merton articles that introduced me to key Gandhian ideas: ahimsa, or nonviolent resistance; Swadeshi, or self-reliance; Satyagraha, truth force; and Swaraj, self-rule. The first article, a tribute to Gandhi, appeared in the book Seeds of Destruction. The second article, Gandhi and the One-Eyed Giant, introduced an anthology of writings by Gandhi on nonviolence, compiled by Thomas Merton. In the first article, Merton characterized Gandhi as a gentle revolutionary. Merton stressed that, thanks to Gandhi, India attained self-rule peacefully and with dignity, for which he ultimately paid with his life. Merton highlighted Gandhi's spiritual practices, such as prayer and fasting, and recognition of the impossibility of being peaceful or nonviolent if one is controlled by, and I'm quoting Merton, an unsatiable requirement of society, which is maddened by overstimulation and obsessed with the demons of noise, voyeurism, and speed. Gandhi recalled that Jesus taught followers to regulate the whole of life by the eternal law of love. For Merton, Gandhi's whole life, including his activism and his death, exhibited the following commitment. And again, I'm quoting Merton. If love is not the law of our being, the whole of my argument falls to pieces. In the second essay, Merton stressed that Gandhi identified nonviolence not as a garment to be put on and off at will, but as the heart, and I'm quoting, an inseparable part of our being. Gandhi, for Merton, described Jesus as the exemplar par excellence of love. And I'm quoting, Jesus lived and died in vain if he did not teach us to regulate the whole of life by the eternal law of love. In letters and throughout his vast literary output, Merton emphasized the law of love and sought to communicate the law of love of the Holy One for all of humanity, and our responsibility to contribute and communicate this love in word and deed. Again, recalling the 1960s, during the summer of 1964, I worked as recreation director for the city of Berkeley. I also volunteered, helping register voters for the upcoming presidential election in the United States. One evening, I believe July 4th, a number of us celebrated the passage of the Civil Rights Act. In Merton fashion, a colleague warned, "We've crossed a river. There's a mountain ahead." These words have proved prescient. In October 2021, when I am speaking, there are challenges to voting rights in several of the United States. For my part, over the years, I have sought to project Mertonian or Gandhian peace less as a no and more as a yes to promoting the common good, a yes to efforts to build a better world. Crucial in my journey, as I indicated at the beginning, have been Merton and Gandhi. And I'd like to close with words of Gandhi, often known as Gandhi's talisman or advice to all of us. Whenever you are in doubt, when the self becomes too much, recall the face of the poorest and the weakest man or woman whom you have ever seen. And ask yourself if the step you contemplate is going to be of any use to him or her. Will it lead to Swaraj, to freedom for the hungry and spiritually starving millions? If so, then yourself will melt away. Words to live by. Thank you, Merton. Thank you, Gandhi. And thank you for your attention.